Hey, Dr. Mike here. So you want to live forever-ish? Well, then you got to know what's in and what's not. Stay tuned to find out.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Foreverish. Dr. Crystal, the in and out. It's that time of the month.
Yes, I love this show.
Fantastic stuff. Living forever-ish. There's 3 things you want to do to live a little longer, but a lot stronger. That's another good way of saying it.
Uh-huh.
I like that.
A little longer and a lot stronger.
3 hits that you want to do, and then, of course, something you don't want to do, the out, the not, what have you, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's get right into it. Number 1 on the list. This is interesting for me because if you read... if you were just to read this statement on, say, Google or something without really researching, reference it, you might be like, oh, it's a fatty little thing, whatever, I'm not going to wear it. But turns out there's some good research, and that is water for weight loss.
Yes, and when you think about it, it sort of makes sense, and it's a tricky way to get people to consume more water. I definitely upped mine.
A tricky way.
Once I saw this, I said, oh, there it is. That's more motivation to meet my water requirements.
Yeah, and I've heard this before. So this was looking at pre-meal. Make sure I'm getting this right? Pre-meal water consumption, and I guess the gist of it was that the hypothesis was if you have some water in your stomach, you're not going to eat as much. Your calorie intake goes down. That's kind of the gist of it, right?
Sort of. The researchers in this study that we'll go over, that's the idea, but there are more mechanisms that I think are exciting to see as to how water can support.
It's not just the feeling full.
Weight loss, correct.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, let's get into this. This was from 2010 Journal of Obesity. This was a randomized controlled trial. Go ahead and tell us about it.
Yeah, and so I do want to just say, as Dr. Mike mentioned, a 2010 study. So older, but highlighting this research simply because this is trending. I'm not sure if you're seeing it, but people are sort of catching on to this idea of water before a meal. And so I said, okay, let's look into it. So this study was published in the Journal of Obesity. And the researchers wanted to know in overweight and obese, middle-aged and older adults, determining if pre-water exposure reduced meal energy intake, and if that sustained over a 12-week period, meaning maybe it helps to decrease intake, the first time, with their pre-meal. But
does it last?
Yeah. Do these effects last? So there were 2 groups. Both groups were on a hypocaloric diet, meaning a dietary reduction or calories taken in. One group consumed 16 fluid ounces of water prior to each daily meal. So it was 3. They did it before 3 meals. And then there was another group, low calorie, no water. And the researchers saw that the weight loss was 4.4 pounds greater in the water group than the non-water group. And the water group showed a 44% greater decline in weight over the 12-week period. So it did maintain. Than the water group,
They were able to maintain that. Do we know, what's the timing of drinking this water? Like, if I want to do this, am I drinking it right before, so I got my meal down, before I start eating that food, drink the water?
That's what is indicated. It just said prior to each meal. So there were no specific time guidelines provided to the participants.
You would think closer to eating, though, would make more sense, right?
Well, I mean, it's right before you eat. So you sit down, you drink your water, you start eating.
You eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. This goes back to something a long time ago. I don't know if you ever knew this. This was like a big fad in the 1990s, Dr. Crystal. It was soup.
Oh, yeah.
The idea was have an appetizer of soup every time.
Yep.
And it was kind of the same idea. Instead of just pure water, it was a low-calorie type soup. It wasn't something heavy, right?
Right.
Like a brothy type thing, type soup. And I think it was kind of the same idea.
Well, yes and no. So one,
She doesn't like any of my ideas today.
I'm not saying your ideas are wrong, but there's more to it. That's what I'm saying. So the research are seeing, one, that the water is stimulating thermogenesis and resting energy expenditure. So when you drink water, it's activating the sympathetic nervous system. So we're not talking about filling up your
Right.
stomach.
I get you.
You get the
Yeah.
sensation of full, so you're eating less.
Yeah.
There is a physiological
thermogenic,
mechanism. Norepinephrine is increasing, so you are increasing your metabolism by drinking this water.
Yeah. And then you eat the food, and now you're going to metabolize
So
it
yeah,
better.
so you're just burning more energy in general versus not drinking the water. And then going back to your soup, the reason I say yes, no, is the water intake is potentially offsetting the consumption of energy beverages. So if someone would normally have a soda with a meal or something, you're drinking that water and you're offsetting what you
So
would
instead of the
otherwise
Coke, you're
be
drinking the water, and there's
Right.
calorie
So
reduction right there.
generally the researchers are seeing and data shows that beverage energy contributes to almost 400 calories per day. So if you're not drinking calories and you're having water, then that's another mechanism to the weight loss.
Love it. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
So you already said you're practicing this.
Well, as of yesterday, but here's what's so funny. Yesterday, I started eating. I was like, oh no, my water. I had to run it.
You already forgot.
I already forgot. I'm like, where's my water? Because I can eat an entire meal with no water. Like I'm not. Like my sensation of thirst is just not very prominent.
I'm like that too. Once I start eating, I don't usually need something to drink. I just keep going.
Yep. So,
So there you go. Water consumption right before a meal, 16 ounces, 3 times a day. And you might experience some weight loss. That's fantastic. All right. So that was in number 1. In number 2 is vitamin K, specifically for leg cramps. Now, here's how I make the connection. Let's see if you like this one. Between leg cramps and living foreverish. If you're having leg cramps, especially because for older people, they tend to occur at night when you're trying to sleep. If that's disturbing your sleep, you're not getting good sleep, and that's not living foreverish.
I love that. That's true. Now,
Woohoo!
not
She
everyone
like one. Rub
is
it.
dealing
Hit
with
it.
leg cramps that disrupt their sleep, but a lot of people do. There is about 20% of individuals who have the leg cramps may encounter insomnia and distress.
Yeah. I think there's different varieties of this too. I know, my sister has problems, not necessarily with leg cramps and stuff. It's more like it's an involuntary movement of her legs at night. And they put it under the same category as leg cramps, but I don't know if there's something else going on there. So
it's like restless leg? Or no?
Well, there's restless leg, there's cramping, and then there's also just some of these like jerky little leg movements that people go through, and it wakes them up, and so all of that together. But now we're specifically talking about cramps.
We're talking nocturnal leg cramps in this study. We're very excited. Published in JAMA, Internal Medicine. Nice to see them
2024
with a nutrient study.
Yes.
The dose of vitamin K in this research, 180 micrograms, a nice dose of K as K2, MK7, the form that's kind of stays active for up to 48 hours. in the bloodstream. And so it was a multi-center, double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical trial. You know they do it right, John.
Yeah, they do. They do. Do you think everybody okay, do we need to go over K1, K2, or do you think most people...
Well, why not?
I mean, make it simple. Vitamin K comes in two forms, 1 and 2. Right? 1 is your leafy greens and all that kind of stuff, and 2 is found more in the meats and the cheeses. And it's the vitamin K2 that lasts a little bit longer in the bloodstream, has a big impact on calcium movement and stuff like that.
I love that. Very simple.
There you go.
So the researchers wanted to know, can vitamin K significantly reduce the frequency, duration, and severity of nocturnal leg cramps? Now, I put this in here as a little disclaimer. There were 99 community-dwelling individuals in this study, 65 years or older. The average age was the early 70s, with documented 2 or more episodes during a 2-week screening. Okay. But you see that exclusion, Dr. Mike, I put it in blue.
That's a lot.
So many people. So it's very difficult when researchers... because they kind of want to standardize the population, they start saying, okay, you have this, you're out. You're not eligible. And so people who may have, let's see,
like a low
thyroid issues,
were left out.
Yes. Lumbar spinal stenosis. I know a lot of people with that, especially in the older age.
But let me ask you. Okay, but here's the thing. What they're doing is a lot of these things they've listed here. They're saying these are it's a direct causal relationship. They're saying the spinal stenosis is causing the cramping, right? And so obviously the treatment there is to get rid of the stenosis, however they want to do that. But in the meantime, maybe vitamin K2 could still help. Right? It's almost like they should have had a subgroup for some of these conditions.
Well, many people, I see use of diuretics.
That's like 80%.
Right.
At 65.
That's what I'm saying. So 65, 70-year-olds who's not on a diuretic. Yeah. And so to me, that eliminates possible mineral deficiency related leg cramps. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there. Generally a healthy population, and there was an 8-week intervention, and there was significant reduction in the average frequency of cramps per week compared to placebo.
That's fantastic. Again,
K2.
We always say this. It's very nice to see a simple vitamin or a mineral or a nutrient that's cheap and safe actually work.
Yes.
That's great to see that. And that's coming from JAMA, right? Now, how does JAMA then deal with the fact that they're going to have a paper next week talking about all vitamins don't work? What are they going to do with that? How do they
I
make all this work?
I don't know.
All right, moving on before we get turned off. Let's go to number 3. One of my favorite nuts, pistachios.
Oh, it's one of your favorites.
I love it. I eat a good handful almost every day.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
And it turns out if I do that, I'm going to have some decent eyes.
Yes, you are. So you're not measuring them, just a handful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I try to keep it to an ounce because that's the serving size or something. Okay. So, all right. I don't know. Well, how much were they? Okay, well, let's go over this.
2 ounces in this study.
I'm not doing enough. I'm always not doing enough, Rob.
The journal, a study published in the Journal of Nutrition, one of my favorite journals, single-blinded, because obviously if you're eating pistachios, you kind of know you're...
You got to know you're eating...
You know you're in an active group.
Instead of a pistachio, they give them like a little piece of corn.
And so it was the dietary intervention study aimed to evaluate the effect of pistachio consumption on macular pigment optical density.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a fancy way of saying in the macula of the eye, which is very acute site, you need to protect it. And there's a lot of colored, pigmented antioxidants that hang around there. Mm-hmm. And the more you got, higher density, the better off you are.
Boom.
Done.
Love it. And so study 36 older healthy adults, 12 weeks of pistachio intervention with usual diet. And the results at 6 weeks, they saw the macular pigment optical density increase compared with the usual diet. And that increase was maintained during the 12 weeks.
You know, if I'd buy the shelled versions.
Oh.
Because I'll eat too much if I don't. Because it takes a little more effort.
So you know a strategy to prevent you from eating too much?
Stop eating.
Well, drum roll, production team, I have a surprise. Dr. Mike was wondering, what's rattling in your bag?
Is that pistachios?
I had to take off my jacket because Dr. Mike was being nosy and trying to figure out. But I bought him some pistachios, and I brought one for Hannah and Robson as well, so that you can enjoy your pistachios. And this is a great way to not overeat. Let's see. Throw it to Hannah.
You find these in the grocery stores now, the little ones. Right? You find so you're correct. You should buy it because this is one serving right here.
So, wow, but I was so disappointed because it's 0.75 ounces. So we're still not quite at the 2 ounces, but I figure it accumulates. So having one of these per day, when I read this study, obviously I said, okay, now this is going in my kids' lunch boxes. So they get a pack a day. Yeah. And I'm trying to eat.
It goes beyond eye health.
They're already shelled. Well, listen, they have lutein, and it's absorbable because of the fat that's in the nuts. So it's more absorbable than like the carotenoids or the lutein that you may get from veggies, because all the fiber in the veggies is not
blocks that
absorbed.
A little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Tons of fiber.
Oh, we got a chart here.
Yes, protein. Now this is 2 ounces, 12 grams of protein, Dr. Mike.
You wrote it's a nutrition bomb.
I did. Bomb. So 12 grams of protein.
29 fat, but good fat.
Good fat. Polyunsaturated fats.
Only 3 grams of saturated total, right? The rest is the good stuff.
6 grams of fiber.
I know. Oh. Which offsets the 16 carbs, so your net carb is only about 8.
Yeah, so now you know what was in my pocket.
See, that's pretty good, Robson. You're already eating them?
Of course.
All right, there you go. There's pistachios. I'm so happy. I knew you were doing something.
Oh, man.
I knew, because the way you ran off, you were like, nothing. And you just ran off away from the set.
I know. My husband always says you would not.
You do not hide it.
Don't try to commit crimes.
All right, let's now. Where are we at? Is that the 3?
So those are our 3
Okay,
ends.
let's go to out number. The only out we have. There's only one, and this is what you don't want.
Yes.
This is the stuff that's going to impede living a little longer and a lot stronger. That's how I'm saying it from now on.
Okay.
Living foreverish. A little longer, a lot stronger. I got to tell you, that's like a tagline. That could be the new podcast tagline. Okay, we'll take this off air.
Where's our sound effects? Where are our sound effects?
Okay. I get excited when I get good ideas. They don't come around as much anymore, Dr. Crystal. Okay, we're going to go to out, and it's light pollution. Now, light pollution. We're talking about, are you before I even really get into this, are you talking about the kind of light pollution I had in my room, my bedroom, and I was telling you about it, and you made me go get a
blackout curtain.
A blackout curtain. Is that what we're talking about?
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about outdoor lighting that when it becomes annoying, inefficient, unnecessary, it's light pollution.
I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to tell the story.
Okay.
So this was, I don't remember what we were talking about. I don't even know if it was a show. Maybe we were just talking. Right? Who knows? And I was telling Dr. Crystal that I just moved. And everything was great. Loved it. But I'm more in the city now. You know, there's more. I went from way out, not in the city, dark, right?
Yes.
And down into Fort Lauderdale. and there's just lights everywhere. Street lights, everything. It's just all over the place. And I was telling you this, and I was like, yeah, there's a little light in my bedroom, but, it doesn't seem to bother me. And you went, yes, it is bothering you. You were dead set that it was not good. You remember this?
It's not good.
And you made me buy, but here's the end of the story. You made me buy those blackout curtains, and she was right, 100%.
You don't even realize it's bothering you.
I think my dog is sleeping better. Seriously, it is so.
Charlie.
I love it. And then when we get up and you open it, it's like, oh,
isn't it? It's the best. It's telling your body, especially because you have to wake up, you have to open the curtains,
Get
you
that
have
light
to turn
in,
on the lights, and
Love it.
let the brain know that hey, it's morning time.
So what are we going to do? I mean, it's a lot. So what's going on here? What did they study?
Well, this is just researchers that's trying to make the connection that this outdoor light at night intensity has a negative impact on health. This is one study where they showed there were over 13,000 people age 45 or above. And so they used, this was a little scary, Defense Meteorological
What the heck?
satellite program data. So they use data from the satellites
To look at
to
light
assess
around you.
outdoor light at night intensity. And then they looked
Interesting.
at levels of and this is epidemiological studies, right? They're looking at populations and they say, okay, in these areas where the satellite's saying there are tons of lights, let's look at health statistics in that area. And they found that there was an increase in blood pressure in
Just
those
from that light
areas
pollution.
where there was more light.
Now that brings a lot of questions up too, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if you know this, but Hannah's choking on the pistachios.
Oh no.
She's trying her best not to cough and stuff, but look, she's red in the face. Here's the thing. So, okay, most of light, I would assume, just like what I explained, that most of that light pollution is occurring in more city environments. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So
Typically, yes.
that makes you then think, okay, so higher blood pressure, okay, interesting connection, correlation, but there's so many other things they would still have to get rid of. Like what if it's just those people had higher blood pressure because they're living in the city and it's stressful?
Well, in this study, the people who lived in the urban areas, there was a connection. It wasn't statistically significant. The significance were for the rural living individuals
so
who
that
had
just-
the light. So that blew my mind
That
away.
just totally ruins my
Your
counter
theory.
to this. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Very interesting.
So if you're in an area, well, I think you got to. Don't worry about this. Go into your own, we're really talking about when it's time to go to bed, you need it dark.
Right.
Look at your own room. Don't worry about, is there light pollution? When I turn out my lights, I got my windows cut, whatever you do, what does it look like?
And think about not just your room, your children's bedrooms.
Well, notice you go right to that. I don't have kids, so I just stick with me.
But simple things like you get the automatic floodlights.
Yeah.
So instead of the lights, your outdoor lights being on all the time, that's probably giving you some light pollution.
Yeah.
Have the floodlights where if someone gets close to the house, it shines the light in their
Right.
eyes.
Yeah, I had a neighbor that did that when I was out at Plantation.
Yes. So the motion detectors, that helps. Blackout curtains definitely help as well.
Yeah.
And then try to do your maneuvering during the day. If that meaning try to get everything you need to get done during the day.
So everything's
so you're not
calm it down.
out driving at night if you don't have to.
If you don't, I
some
like
people
that. Yeah, so where I lived, there was the house between me and the neighbor, sweet old man. It was apparently like a little highway for raccoons. And like at certain times, every single night, like at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, his lights on right in my bedroom. And I've gotten up several times, and sure enough, it's like a family of raccoons.
Oh, I know. I have a highway
Yeah.
in my yard.
Yeah. It's like all these other places they could go. No,
And
they
stop
go
and
right
graze in my grass.
there. There you go. 3 ins and an out for living forever-ish. A little longer and a lot stronger. Love it. Our sponsor, Life Extension, would like to say thank you. So go check out lifeextension.com. And you can buy what you want. When you're at the cart, put the word podcast in. What do they get, Dr. Crystal?
10% off, $50 or more, plus free shipping and handling.
And then there's liveforeverish.com. Tons of other episodes for you to download, like, share, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a show. I'm Dr. Mike. That's
Dr. Crystal.
Thanks for listening.